Good morning. Welcome to AccuZip's webinar on STIDs or service types. My name is Donna Tackett. I'm a customer care specialist here at AccuZip, and with me is Eric Lambeth. He is a senior support engineer, and Kristen McKinnard, which is our president currently. And they are going to be answering your questions at the end. So if you're watching the webinar after we have posted it on our website, please be aware that there will be two email addresses where you can write in for questions you might have. So service types are the 3-digit numbers that are used in your Intelligent Mail barcode to request information or services from the United States Postal Service. The Postal Service started requirement of the Intelligent Mail barcode in January 2013. It replaced the PostNet and the Planet barcode that was used before. During the change in the Intelligent Mail barcode, the service type, of course, has changed over the years. They've added political STIDs, ballot STIDs, bound printed matter STIDs over the years, and this July they are going to make another change to the STID table. The service type or STID is the third, fourth, and fifth digit of the Intelligent Mail barcode. Your barcode ID is first, your service type is third, fourth, and fifth numbers, of course, and then your mailer ID and your serial number and the routing code, depending on whether you have a 6-digit mailer ID or a 9-digit mailer ID. Your serial number will be the alternating number. So if you have a 6-digit mid, you're going to have a 9-digit serial number. A 9-digit mid, you're going to have a 6-digit serial number. Those do change, but your service type is always numbers 3, 4, and 5. In AccuZip, the service type can first be seen in your IMB digits, which are viewed on the bottom of the print settings screen. Your list is shown there in pre-sort order. So after you pre-sort, you click Print Labels, you go to the print settings screen. After you create the barcodes, which you can do by previewing a label or exporting your data, or even just going to the export screen. If you come back to your print settings screen and go all the way over to the right, you will see your IMB digits. And as you noted here, 271 is the service type in this barcode that we're looking at. Service type identifiers are very specific. I've added 2 links here so that you could look those up. They are very detailed. Some of them need to have also an endorsement printed on the envelope. Some of them have a fee. Some of them will tell the post office to recycle the mail piece if it's not delivered. So it's very important that you put the correct STID on the in the barcode on the envelope when you're setting your STIDs up or your service types. An ancillary service endorsement is a service endorsement that asks for the new address in some way. Either forward the mail piece on to the new address or send me the new address. Those are change service requested, address service requested, return service requested, and temp service requested. There are specific places on the envelope when you're doing a service type in the Intelligent Mail barcode that requires an endorsement that you can put that endorsement. Those places are right under the return address, to the left of the permit, under the permit, or right above the address area. And those are the only 4 places allowed by USPS. Now, this is an example of how you can use a service type and it might cost you a fee. So if you'll notice, electronic service requested, first class mail, USPS mail, generally those are not going to carry a fee. When you get down to address service requested, with first class mail, you're never going to have a fee. With address service requested on marketing mail or standard mail, the first 1 to 12 months, it's forwarded at no charge. From months 13 to 18, there is a weighted fee. Usually the return postage is approximately what a first class rate would be. And then after 18 months, you have a new set of rules. So these endorsement lines that you use on your envelopes that have to have a service type in the Intelligent Mail barcode that matches do have different requests. And that's the whole reason of using a service type. You're requesting something from the post office. Now, automation and non-automation mail both have different STIDs available for use with tracking. Non-automation mail would be mail that doesn't cast certify. It would also, in that category, would be mail that you're not uploading to Postal One for full service. It gets a STID. I shouldn't have really used the word non-automation. It gets a STID that doesn't have full service in it. So you've got mail that you're not going to upload to Postal One. You could have mail that didn't cast certify, and they will have their own set of STIDs. And then you have mail that does have a STID that tells the post office that you're uploading to Postal One. Both of those will also have tracking on them. So if you notice in the top line 301, that is basic or non-automation mail without tracking. 311 does have tracking, and then in your full service STIDs, 261 does not have tracking, and 271 does have tracking. Also, just to make a note, the first line where it says no address corrections, those are usually the STIDs that you're going to use if you have NCOA link, as in for NCOA link, you've already got the move updates, so you're not worried about asking for address service requested or change service requested, because you've already done that with the NCOA link system, which updates weekly. So if you're doing NCOA link, the top row of STIDs are usually with marketing mail, the ones you're going to use. Now, ACS customers or address change service customers are required to provide a dedicated email address so that the post office can send you back the move updates or changes. They do have a format that they would like you to use. Obviously, they'll take any email, but this is their example of what they prefer that you use when you fill out the forms for ACS. Full service ACS does require a specific email address and a MID obtained from the Business Customer Gateway that is linked to where those are coming back. So if they read an ACS service type and the MID in the service type, then they'll know which email to send the move updates to for change service requested and things like that. This is the link where you sign up for ACS. You do have to sign up for it. And as a note, I did add on the bottom of this that they are going to, in July, change the STID table, which I mentioned earlier, and they're also going to clarify the definitions for ballot mail and political mail. I'm not sure how they're going to change that. Obviously, they don't tell us till they do it most of the time, but there will be a change to the STID table, and there will be a change to definitions for political and ballot mail. And AccuSIF will add any new STIDs if they add STIDs to the STID table at the point that they add them for you. So they'll be there and they'll be available. And I'm going to show you in a little while how you change those out. So this is your ACS enrollment form. This is how you sign up for ACS. You're going to put your name, your address. You'll notice that it says account owner, bill to. So if that mail comes back with postage due, they know who they're charging for it, and also where to send the move updates. So it's very detail oriented. It does ask for a CRID. This is the second part of the back page of the ACS form, and you notice they do ask you what kind of ACS that you're signing up for. One of the things that I do when we at times have customer partners come in and say, you know, my client moved from another mail house, they were doing ACS, now they're with us, which STID do I use? Well, you need to find out from the Postal Service what they've signed up for, because that STID has to match the service that they've requested when they did sign up. So mail that needs tracking. One of the things that the post office does is store serial numbers to track mail. If you have our AccuTrace system, you'll know that we get your tracking numbers from the postal system. We put them on AccuTrace in a very great just great web page so that you can run reports and find out, like, has this state got their mail, has that city got their mail, which zip codes got their mail. There's some wonderful reports on there where you can do some analytics and track your mail. The post office will track that mail even if you don't have a tracking. They give you a big dump of data. It's a little confusing to try to go through independently, which is why AccuTrace is a great system, because you can just see the numbers, and it does do the reporting for you when you ask. But if you ask for tracking, they're going to store those tracking numbers. If you don't, or serial numbers rather, if you don't ask for tracking, they're not going to store that data. So even if you're not at the moment taking advantage of AccuTrace or some other tracking system, you want to ask for a tracking number if you think that anytime in the next 45 days you're going to want to know where that mail is. Because if you don't have a tracking STID or service type in your barcode, there's going to be no way, well, I won't say no way, they can actually, they have some old methods to use to track the mail down, but it's so much easier if you have a tracking STID in your mail piece. So ballot mail and a political mail. They do have definitions of those on the website. These are the two definitions. I was very surprised to find that political mail is any material mailed for campaign purposes, like a registered political candidate, a campaign committee, or a committee of a political party, or a political message mailed by a political action committee, which is a PAC or super PAC, or other organization engaging in an effort to influence or drive voters, basically. So if it's got anything to do with politics or a political party, maybe they're doing a fundraiser or something like that, literally you can tag it as political mail and put a political service type in your intelligent mail barcode. And we all know that political mail gets pushed through the post office faster. So if you have something that meets this definition, you would probably be served getting it in the mail faster if you used a political service type. Ballot mail, of course, is just ballots mailed to or from an authorized election officials, such as absentee ballots or military ballots. Now, there are other political mail designators. There are red tags for your mail trays. Anytime you mail a political mailing, you need to red tag it so the post office knows to push that through the system. If you're doing full service, you're also going to create a CCR file, which uploads to Postal One with your other mailed up files, and that does tell the post office that you're mailing a political mailing. If you'll notice in this CCR file, starting from the right, if you go back to the fourth digit, that's a P. I tagged this political. There are other things that you can put in a CCR file, but this is the P for political mail. On AccuZip or in AccuZip, when you're on the pre-sort setup screen, if you go to the absolute bottom right above where you choose your mail date, there are a incentives area. In incentives, if you choose content, and then you can choose either political mail or ballot mail, and that action right there is what causes the software to create the CCR file to upload with your other mailed app files. The good thing about the service type, though, being political, is once that mail's removed from a tray, you don't have the tag. Once it goes through the front door and it's not connected to, hey, this mail is coming to you and I'm telling you via my CCR file that I'm bringing you a political mailing, once that mail piece is out of that tray and through the back door of the BMEU, there's no way to know that that is a piece of political mail, especially if it's a white envelope, other than the service type in the barcode. So you want to always have that political service type so that anywhere that mail piece goes, somebody knows it's a piece of political mail. So here are the first class political mail service types. You'll notice that there's service types for mail that you're not going to upload to Postal One or non-automated addresses, and there's also full service service types for first class first class political mail, you do have tracking and non-tracking. You've got no address corrections for if you're using NCOA link, and then you actually have, the address service corrected, change service requested options. So you have a service type to match almost any service you want. Here are the marketing mail options for political mail. Same sort of setup. Sometimes you have them, sometimes you don't. Depends on what options they allow. And then here are the ballot mail options for first class. Ballot mail being, absentee ballots, military ballots, anything where you would mail your ballot back in. And obviously they have basic with IV and full service with IV, because ballot mail is required to be tracked. So there's no option for not tracking ballot mail. Strangely, there was also marketing mail options for ballot mail. I didn't think you were allowed to mail ballot mail back, marketing mail rates, but they do have service types for them. So I guess if you ever run into that instance, it's there. Now, there are also a different set and specific STIDs or service types for ballot reply mail. So usually when you get a piece, I'm sure it can be several different ways, but when you get a ballot sent to you by the government, you get it and the envelope has your name and address on it, and then you vote and you fold it a different direction, and the reply barcode is out and the address to go back to the city, state, government, whatever you're sending it to. But there's also some ballots that have reply envelopes in it, I'm sure. Either way, the barcode that is on the side that the post office reads when it's coming back must have a reply mail STID, and these are the ones for ballot mail. So I wanted you to notice that in all these charts we've been looking at, you've got some pieces of information that you may not have noticed. Some of them have dollar signs, some of them have stars, some of them have a little green recycle symbol. The post office will, if you ask them to, with using a service type, like if you go down a little bit to the first green symbol at the bottom, 092, if you put 092 in a service type, then the post office is going to securely destroy that mail piece after they've done whatever it is you ask them to do, and it doesn't get delivered to where it's going. So you can ask them to destroy securely any mail that you don't want back. The dollar sign options show you where there is a possible fee for that piece coming back, and the 2 stars designate that an ancillary service endorsement is actually required to be printed on the envelope. So everything that you read through here, you'll notice all these have a set option for you. There's only a couple that have the 3 stars, which is change service requested option 2, type IDs, and that must be used in the intelligent mail barcode. So if you use the one with the 3 stars, you've got to be obviously using an intelligent mail barcode, but we all do now. And that may be the reason they're going to change some of these up in July, is that we're all just about on the intelligent mail barcode at this point, unless we're not using a barcode at all. So to set up or change your STIDs in AccuZip, the steps are, there's actually 2 ways to do it, but the first one is if you're on the screen with your list, or maybe you don't even have a list open, you can go to Additions, AccuTrace, and Intelligent Mail Setup. When you get there, first, the second place is on the pre-sort setup screen. So when you open your pre-sort setup screen, right under the mail date is a blue link that says Intelligent Mail Setup. It does take you to the same place as Additions, AccuTrace, Intelligent Mail Setup. So those are your 2 ways to get to your service type setup. Now, when you get in there, what you're going to see on the left is Intelligent Mail Information Setup, and you have all your classes. Once you click open a class, you're going to see service type and service type basic. So service type is full service automated mail. Service type basic is automated mail or CAS certified mail that you're not going to upload to Postal One. You're not asking for the full service discount, or addresses that are non-automated that didn't cast certify. So the service type is going to be the mail that cast certified and you're uploading to Postal One. The service type basic is going to be cast certified or automated mail that you're not uploading to Postal One, or non-automated mail being addresses that didn't cast certify. So you do always need two different service types, and they should not ever be the same unless you're doing parcels. We won't get into that right now. But parcels are usually the same because parcels do not get a full service discount. So you don't have an option for a full service discount in parcels. Now, down at the bottom, you're going to see of the screen on the bottom right, the little box that you see on the pre-sort setup screen. I wanted just to make a note of this. If you're uploading to Postal One and you're doing full service IMBarcodes with the correct service types, you want to make sure you check that box for full service IMB rates, because that is the box that will make sure that you get that 0.003 discount for uploading to Postal One. This is an example of how I typically, and I know I've used this screen a lot because this is the one I use when I set you up. If I've done your training or I've helped you set up your computer, I always choose 271 for service type, and I always choose 311 for service type basic unless you don't have NCOA linked, because 271 is no address corrections, meaning that you're doing them beforehand. 311 is the basic that asks for tracking, and 271 is the full service that asks for tracking. So this is generally what you're going to see when you go into AccuZip. I think most of us techs use this as an automatic default unless you don't have NCOA link. So when you get ready to do political mail, or maybe you have a customer that wants to do an endorsement line, those would be the two numbers or the two places where you're going to change that to what they want. And then after you do that mailing, you will want to change it back to these. So once again, you're telling the post office, I did NCOA link, I don't need any address corrections, and oh, by the way, will you please track my serial numbers? So this is a list of the current STIDs that you see in AccuZip, and you'll notice when you go in to this, when you click the service type right here where it says 271, when you click that little icon, you actually get this chart, and you'll notice they're all here. So 271 and 311 is both in this chart, so you would choose 271 for service type, you would choose 311 for service type basic. We add the new STIDs, of course, as the post office puts them out. So when they add some in July, we will add those. Here are your political and ballot mail STIDs. So you can see where you have the same thing out. You have full service, you have basic, you have some with tracking, some without tracking. You can see how those are all listed just for you to choose, so that even though it doesn't give a full definition here, if you know what you're looking for, you can generally find it in this chart. And if you can't, you can, if you're not sure which one, you can always go to USPS with the links I provided earlier and find the longer, deeper explanation of each of those and what they do. So we also have an option in AccuZip that's called Use Service Type from Field. And the way this actually works is if you have or add a field in your database, then you can add a STID to it, and AccuZip, instead of using what's in your intelligent mail setup, it will go into the list and it will pull that service type number from that field and embed it into your intelligent mail barcode. And some people like to do this rather than going into their intelligent mail setup and changing it. They would rather grab it from a field. That way they know this list takes this STID, and I'm going to tell AccuZip to use it. You can name these fields anything. I mean, you could name it purple if you wanted to. And if you put 271 in a field called purple and said use service type from field, the field's called purple, we would pull from it. I usually just name mine so that I automatically know what they are, and that's a good practice. But just to let you know, the ideal is you're telling the software in these settings what field you want it to look for for maybe a mailer ID or the service type that you're using, or even a set of serial numbers. So those can be set up, and that is in the same area of, let me back up just a little. That is in the same area as the Intelligent Mail settings. When you go in, you see service type basic, and then you'll go down and it will actually show you the use from field options. So that is all I have today. We'll take questions after the webinar, but as I mentioned before, if you are watching this on our website, you can go to support@accuzip.com, send in any questions you have. We would be more than happy to answer them for you. And I hope you all have a great afternoon.